What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Alright, so Walker has been a pretty big hit for the CW, and their ratings have been high for the most part. They've dropped off a little bit as the show's gone on, but that's to be expected in a lot of things. But apparently, CBR isn't exactly a big fan of the show, at least not as much as what a lot of fans on the fan sites on Facebook or on, well, as the ratings would show. Let's just put it that way. Um, Walker doesn't care about its case of the week. Now, let me let me say this: when I first read this article, I thought I had in my mind um, it's wrong. I had in my mind that it's wrong, and there's nothing that it could say that would convince me otherwise. Because one of the main things that I love about Walker is actually the case of the week situation. But I have other problems with it. I mean, I feel like Nikki's not a likable character. I feel like I liked Liam in the first episode, but him trying to take the kids away from his brother, I felt like was crossing the line. So now I don't really like his character. I don't like the way his character is written. I also don't like. Kind of these forced plots that really don't go anywhere. It's like it makes you wonder why bring it up, because they don't follow through with it. And I feel like it's trying to push an agenda that doesn't necessarily fit with the area that it takes place in, and is probably something that you don't want to get involved in, even for a CW show. That because it makes it turns off half your fans automatically. It seems forced. Let's just put it that way. It seems forced. It doesn't feel like that it really truly means what it says or what it shows sometimes. That's at least my take on it. Now I have a theory about why it feels so forced, and why this case of the week thing is probably a something that was added on in rewrites. Because I just want to put this out there. This show had a lot changed after the protest during the summer. They wanted to put more of an emphasis on their minority characters, and on racial injustice, and those kind, and even the crisis on the border. They wanted to add a spin to that as well, or to bring awareness to it. I just believe, especially when it comes to the what's going on with the border and immigration as a whole, I feel like this show at one time was going a specific way, but then had to switch it up because of rewrites. And I believe that the way it wanted to portray Texas Rangers, I also believe was another thing that was changed up in the rewrites. Now, let me just go ahead and read this. Now, Walker fans, don't hate on me for bringing this out, because I just wanted to read this to y'all, and y'all make up your own mind about whether you think that Walker is missing out on the main narrative, or if you still enjoy the way it is and you feel like it's a perfect show. Just let me know what you think. But give this CBR article a chance, because I know I almost didn't give it a chance, and I really think what it's saying is actually pretty profound when it comes to this show. It says in CW's Walker, it's pretty clear the series is focusing on helping Walker heal and work his way back into being a Texas Ranger through the case of the week trope. He's more or less showing his new partner, Mickey, the ropes while adjusting to life with his former partner, Captain James, as his new boss. However, at the heart of it all, the shadow looming over Walker is the death of his wife, Emily, in episode 1. Now, one would think these weekly cases would be part of that overarching mystery, but the way they seem tacked on, it's pretty clear the series really doesn't care for them or think they're that important. In the first episode, Walker and Mickey discover a heroin ring run by a mom and pop company that's smuggling drugs and Christian statues. It's pretty clear they're tied to the Mexican cartel, yet it's just given a few minutes with a quick bust. The second episode, Back in the Saddle, then focuses on Walker and Mickey discovering an insurance scandal with Manchester burning his farm down and faking the death of his prized horse, Texas Nightshade. Lastly, in Bobblehead, the Rangers bring down a female arms dealer, Toretto, who's smuggling weapons in and out of Texas. Now, given what happened to Emily, these cases could have helped pad the mystery behind her death. She was killed near the border, where she delivered food and drinks to help immigrants out, staying off the cameras and using routes Walker laid out. This could easily have been reconciled as a killing by the cartel or their American associates, maybe even tied to Emily discovering an illegal trading route. That could connect Walker to these cases and make them much more important. It'd give Gary, owner of Walker's favorite drinking spot, Sidestep, a key role. Plus, Hoyt, Walker's former best friend who worked with Toretto, could have had intel on Emily's death. Manchester also had shady connections, so Walker could have garnered info from him too. Now, I will say this. After reading that, I was like, wow, they really actually have missed some very significant chances to really, like it said, pad down the story of Emily's death. So why is it not doing that way? Is it poor writing on the CW? Which could very well be it, because I think a lot of the Arrowverse shows suffer from that. Is it that they're intentionally trying to move away from it? And by that I mean, it is known that this show, before the protests in the summer, it already had a lot of things planned out. I don't know how far along it was into production, but Jared Padalecki and some of the other stars said that the protests during the summer for social justice changed the whole narrative of what Walker was going to be about. I think the original, and this is just my opinion on this one, I think the original series of Walker, Texas Ranger, was going to be more of an emphasis of what this show was about now. I'm not saying that they're doing all the kicks and all the stuff that was in the original Walker, Texas Ranger. I'm talking about how they glorified Texas Rangers in that series, and I think that's what this Walker was actually going to do. I actually, and this is, again, just me giving crazy theories out here. I also believe that Walker's wife was going to originally die by the cartel. I believe that's what they had in mind. I think during these rewrites that they have added in this dialogue of really the whole anti-cop narrative. The Texas Rangers, the whole Texas Rangers being racist, and Mickey always talking about the Mexican, for her being the first Mexican female that was a Texas Ranger. I feel like that was put in there. I also feel like Emily giving, going down there to the border and being, giving food and water to immigrants crossing over the border. I actually believe that was something that was probably added on later. I think because the original narrative, and this is, again, me just speculating, if the original narrative was her dying by a Mexican cartel, that would really go against the idea of Walker, helping out his daughter's friend's mother and parents who are don't have their papers yet and are here illegally. It could be about that, or would have changed the narrative on that and how maybe Walker would have perceived that particular situation if his wife had died by a Mexican cartel, possibly maybe smuggling in people, maybe, I don't know, or smuggling in drugs or something along those lines. I believe that like I said, the original um, idea was to be your normal cop show where you've got, let's say the Mexican cartel, and you've got, you know, your mafia and all that stuff that you see in almost every other cop show. Organized crime basically. I believe that was the original narrative, and then they added this extra stuff in there that kind of puts it in a completely different light. I believe that they added that in there, but they were too lazy maybe to take out the whole thing in general and just start from anew. So they kept some of these other things in there. And that's the reason why it feels sometimes like the dialogue doesn't and the scenes don't fit very well together. I can think of a number of scenes already through the first 3 episodes that I'm like, it would be good dialogue in the right situation, but it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It feels forced. And it's usually the things that feel forced is usually the dialogue that involves something of more of a progressive nature. I believe that the showrunners on this understood that, hey, they're working in Texas. They were trying to fit the whole Texas narrative. And anybody that's been to Texas knows that just probably, the Walker family isn't exactly probably your, doesn't have the same political leanings as majority Texans. Let's just put it that way. Another thing that has bothered me throughout this show is it made it seem like Emily was just going to the border just be back in a few minutes and things like that. Well, the problem is with that is Austin is 700 and something miles away from the border. All the showrunners had to do to fix that would be to, I don't know, do a quick map quest or Google search and figure that part out. It's not that hard to figure out. That's the reason why I say I don't necessarily believe that was their original intention for her to be. She might have originally been down there at the border for some reason, but the whole, giving food and all that and being back in a few minutes probably wasn't their original plan for how she died. I believe that it was going to be the cartels, and now this Walker series is wanting to dance around that concept, because if they didn't and it was the main story, then it would probably bring a lot of controversy. Because you would be hearing people say, well, this is, really pushing a anti-immigrant narrative that a lot of people have, of course, when it comes to the cartels, and so forth along those lines, and not focusing on the good people that do cross over, and let's face it, that's majority of people, but there is still, the cartels down there at the bottom of Texas and in Mexico that we also have to deal with, that is actually a part of that. I actually believe that it was the rewrites that actually is the reason why they went to the case of the week trope and have been, and it has nothing to do with Emily's death, because I believe they want that to now be on the back burner and not to be the main focus of the show. I think they would be. I think the showrunners would actually be more inclined to have Mickey's story as the main story of Walker, and just have him kind of in the background doing his family thing. Trying to keep his daughter out of trouble, trying to get his son out of his shell, those kind of things along those lines, reuniting with them. Have him just doing that and not necessarily trying to solve his wife's murder, because they've hinted at it a little bit, but it's really gone nowheres. And I can't imagine that unless that was the original plan for this series, because that's not really the way the first trailer of this looked. It looked like the whole show was going to be focused on it. I did a whole thing over the trailer, a whole video over the trailer, and the trailer was all about Emily's death, and then the show has been very little bit about Emily's death. So I do actually, after reading this article, I am a little bit skeptical of why they haven't connected anything to anything so far. I really hated that the chip that he found on her and then the eyes closed was just passed over so easily. Like, the dude's been wondering about this for 11 months, and really the people closest to him had the answers and really had no reason not to tell him. Like, that should have been like the first thing they done. Well, hey, that was your Father's Day gift, or hey, I'm the one that closed her eyes, and not, someone that knew her. Like, that would have probably saved him a lot of grief for 11 months out of his life. But no, that's just, I personally would say that's poor writing. But, I'm going to blame the bad stuff on rewrites, and that's what it is. But I could be wrong on that. It could just be really poor storytelling, and it could be intentional, and it could have nothing to do with rewrites, or nothing about the protests in the summer, or nothing about how the narrative for the show has changed, or the main priorities for the show have changed. Could have been none of that. It's just, that's personally how I'm going to explain it away until the showrunners come up with something better. That's just the way I look at it. And that's the narrative I'm going to go with, because I don't want to necessarily believe that the showrunners did such a poor job with writing that they just added all of this extra stuff that doesn't fit into each one of these scenes, and just was like, that's how we wrote it, and that's what we always intended on being. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's just put it that way. But guys, let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all think that if this was, a lot of people that are fans of Walker, they think the show's almost perfect. I don't think it's perfect. I think episode 3 was going in the right direction. So I have hope for this show. So don't think I'm a Walker hater, guys. I'm not. I'm not a Walker hater. I just personally hate some of the things inside of it. I don't like the storytelling. I feel like it's just really bland and doesn't fit right together. It's more than it's less about what they say or the narrative that they're pushing, and more on, it's just really bad writing, and I get stuck on that sometimes. That's the writer inside of me, and I can't help but get past that or get stuck on that sometimes. But let me know. Let me know if y'all think it's poor writing. Let me know if you think nothing's wrong. Let me know if y'all enjoy the case of the week situation that they got going on, or if this story even changes anything for y'all. I know it changed on how I look about it. I'm just curious if it changes anything for y'all. But as always, guys, thanks for watching.